So I was reading comments yesterday on my video, which I always do, by the way, so leave a comment, because I guarantee if it's like within the first couple hours of the video being up, I'll probably read it, because I read a lot of comments. But I was reading comments yesterday, right, and I see this one from this kid that said, "Yo man, you said in a video 6 years ago that you had a story time about growing weed, and how you got caught. Can you tell it?" And I was like, holy shit, I haven't told that one yet. And I forgot about it for all these years. So shout out to the comment section, because that dude's a real ass motherfucker that watches a lot of old videos. And he essentially used my old video to remind myself, my current self, of a story time I completely forgot about. So shout out to him. So yeah, today's story time is definitely a pretty crazy one. I hope you guys enjoy it. Leave a like in the video if you do. Let's jump into it. So today's story time all takes place in 2015. Now, I won't lie, around this time, I was a little bit of a stoner. I was smoking on and off. It wasn't like how I was in 2014, where I was smoking like daily, but 2015, I was pretty on and off with it. I would say I was definitely leaning more towards stoner than not stoner, to say the least. And, I was just living my life, enjoying myself, right? And one day, I'm sitting in my backyard, smoking a blunt by myself, and I was like, you know what? I want to grow this shit. I want to give growing weed a try, because I've never done it before, and I have a really good yard for it, and I could definitely hide it from my mom without her seeing it easily. And yeah, it just seems like a good idea, right? That's what my dumbass brain thought back then, as I was still living with my parents, who were very much against weed, by the way. Like, they did not want me smoking it, and I had to hide it at all costs. But yeah, I thought it was a good idea. So I went to one of the gardening stores nearby, bought a bunch of stuff I needed for growing weed after reading like an article about how to do it. I got the seeds from my plug, and I was ready to go, right? I was like stoked for it. So I went in my backyard that same day, planted it in a super secluded area that was kind of in like a wooded area. I wouldn't say my backyard was like straight up woods, but we did have like a tiny little wooded area in the back right corner. So I went back there and I planted it where there was a little bit of sunlight peeking through. And I was like, okay, this should work. So a couple days go by after this. Nothing really happens. I keep taking care of it, keeping an eye on it. And then about a week goes by, and I finally start to see some progress. I see it coming out. It's like sprouting out of the ground. I feel like a mother who just gave birth to a little baby boy. I'm staring at this stupid little green plant starting to sprout out of the ground, and I'm just like, it's alive. I made this. And yeah, needless to say, I was a proud father, to say the least, right? So I'm excited, right? Now I'm just keeping an eye on it every couple days, like, doing my thing, taking care of it, making sure that everything's good, and it's growing. And I'm actually doing a good job for like some dumbass teenager that has no idea what he's doing and just going off an article he read like one time. It was going pretty well, and I was pretty proud of myself because every other plant I've ever tried to take care of has fucking died. So apparently I just have a way with weed plants. Because seriously, every other plant I've put my hands on just completely just dies. It doesn't like me. I swear, plants secretly have brains, and they know when I'm taking care of them because they'll just die. But not this weed plant, right? He liked me and I liked him. I'm starting to sound a little bit strange with how much I'm treating this plant like a person, right? Anyway, so I take care of it for another week. It grows even more. It starts to sprout little leaves, like the start of a little pot leaf. And then another week goes by. Now it looks even more like a weed plant. And then another week and a half goes by. And now it just looks like a straight up small little weed plant, like fully grown pot leaves. And it's very obvious what this plant is if anybody comes across it, right? So now I have to really be careful. I have to like go back there at certain times when my mom's not home. I have to make sure that like I'm taking care of it when no one's around. And like I pretty much just had to be super careful because, now it's obviously a weed plant by the look of it. So yeah. Then we get to week 5 or like 5.5 or something. And this thing starts to flower a little bit, right? And it's getting pretty big, and it's, definitely noticeable in this area. And not only am I impressed with myself because I've taken it this far, but I'm also super paranoid because it's gotten a little bit big, and, I don't want this thing to get seen by my parents or anybody for that matter, like my neighbors. But also, I'm proud of myself because I've gone over a month without getting caught, right? So I'm like, all right, you know what? I don't have anything to stress about. I've gone a month now, month and a week. Like, I'm going to be able to go even further. I'm good. I'm not going to get caught. I'll just keep doing what I've been doing. And then the next day came along, and everything went to shit. So yeah, I wake up the next day, literally the day after this thing started to flower a little bit, and I get up out of bed. It was a weekend, so I had no priorities this day. It was just a nice day. I had all to myself. My mom and my brothers were actually at work, so I was completely alone, which was nice. They worked weekends, so I was actually enjoying the house to myself. I get up out of bed, I take a nice long hot shower, then I get dressed, I'm all excited, I have a nice long free day ahead of me to do whatever I want, nice weather, and I was also super excited to go check on my plant and see how he's doing, right? So right after I get dressed, I leave my room and I start heading down the hallway towards the kitchen. I'm super excited to go check on my plant. I walk out into the kitchen and I start heading towards the back sliding glass door to get to my backyard to go check on my plant. And I notice something out of the corner of my eye as I'm walking through the kitchen to my back door. Out of the corner of my eye, on the kitchen table, I see something green on the kitchen table. And I look to my left and look at it, and it's my plant. My beautiful baby boy on the fucking kitchen table, ripped out of the ground, dead on the table. I couldn't believe my fucking eyes. And there was a note attached to it from my mom. And it said, "Hey, found this in the backyard. Would you know anything about this? I'll talk to you when I get home." So not only was my plant fucking dead and staring me in the face on my kitchen table with dirt everywhere and just laying there lifeless, I'm staring at this note that essentially reads, "You're fucked when I get home." And that was definitely true, because later that night my mom got home and she was like, "What the hell are you doing in my backyard? I would get in trouble if you got caught. If the police found this, I'd get in trouble." And she wasn't wrong, because it was her property. And I was just being a dumbass kid. And also, weed was not legal in New York yet, or even close to legal. So definitely would have been a lot more serious back then if I got caught by the police or the neighbors or anybody. So yeah, she was very pissed, understandably. And I got grounded, also understandably, for a month and a half. I lost pretty much everything that was fun in the house. So it was a very boring month and a half, and it just wasn't a fun time. And it was just a sad month, man. Sad month. My plant died. The only plant that I've ever loved died in front of me, in my arms. No, I'm kidding. It wasn't in my arms, but he was on the kitchen table, just dead. Or maybe he was still alive, but he was dying, and that wasn't good. And I got grounded for a month and a half. So all in all, a shitty month, right? Now, moral of this story is, don't grow weed in your parents' backyard. Unless they give you permission and are cool with it and you're an adult, don't do that, because my dumbass was pretty stupid for that, and clearly it backfired. Wouldn't want this to happen to any of you guys, or worse. So yeah, don't do that. But yeah, guys, that's the story time of how I got caught growing weed in my parents' backyard and it completely backfired. If you guys enjoyed this story time, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all later. Peace.
Won't try suicide. I just went, moved to LA, my soul sacrificed. You just betray me and keep going with the lie.